This week, we got PS5 Pro Rumors, an unfortunate situation with Insomniac, and more. So let's just go ahead, together, as a people, and check it out! And welcome to another sensational Sunday. I'm Mike, also happy Christmas Eve, and I've returned to bring the news of the gaming. But you just can't play games all willy-nilly. In order to play games, you need a device to play the games on, and a very popular device is the PlayStation 5. In fact, it's been so popular that apparently it's outsold the Xbox consoles 3-1 in 2023. So Reuters is reporting that Sony has sold 50 million PS5s as of December 9th, and November was the best month sales-wise for any PlayStation console. Now, when it comes to the part about the PS5 outselling the Xbox Series consoles 3-1, I will say up front that this is somewhat speculation because Microsoft no longer reports their sales numbers publicly for the Xbox. So this data is from Financial Times, and they're basically estimating the growth sales of the Xbox Series consoles for this year. So for the PS5, they've grown 65% to 22.5 million units this year, and the Xbox fell by 15% to 7.6 million in comparison to what they shipped last year. Now, I found this interesting because when these systems first released, they're basically selling out instantly. So whoever can make the most systems would basically be ahead. They would just have the advantage by virtue of having more systems out there. But now that we're in a position where anyone can buy either system, it looks like the PS5 is the more popular one if this reporting is accurate. I mean, it makes sense with Sony having the stronger lineup as far as games, and way more people had a PS4 last generation, so they're likely to move to a PS5, especially if they already had digital purchases. Microsoft didn't really have a lot of strong exclusives this year either. There was a lot of hype around Redfall, but that game had issues at launch and it didn't really live up to expectations. And Starfield seems like it's doing okay, but doesn't feel like the blockbuster hit it was expected to be for Bethesda's next big game. Also, Sony just released a console redesign and they released Spider-Man 2 around the same time. So I'm sure that helped spike their sales for November. Now, personally, I think both systems have their strengths, with the Xbox having Game Pass and PlayStation, of course, having really strong exclusives, like I said earlier. So you really can't go wrong with either system. But given the PS5's stronger lineup since launch, it's not super surprising if they're outselling the Xbox 3-1. Now that both the Xbox and PS5 are readily available to buy. We'll see what the Xbox future looks like with these acquisitions like the recent Activision one, and we'll see if it pays off. And speaking of Activision, we got an official exit date for their CEO, Bobby Kotick. So it was announced when the deal with Microsoft was completed that he would basically be with the company until the end of the year. And yeah, that appears to be the case, as he will no longer be with the company as of December 29th. So Bobby Kotick had been in charge of Activision since 1991, and I mentioned in a previous video that the company was in some legal trouble when Microsoft said they were going to go ahead and buy them. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but there were harassment allegations and people claiming that they were paid unfair wages based on their gender. So they were in the process of being investigated by the state of California when the deal was announced, and they were subsequently sued by the state of California. And those suits have now been settled, with Activision paying $35 million to the SEC in February and $54 million last week to settle a gender discrimination suit. But all of those alleged things happened under Bobby Kotick, so it's not really surprising that Microsoft would want him out quickly after acquiring the company. There was just too much baggage there. Either way, it looks like the New Year's ball is going to drop at Activision Blizzard without Bobby Kotick. But Bobby Kotick wasn't the only thing getting released early, as unfortunately, Sony's studio Insomniac was hacked by a ransomware group called Reseda. I hope I said that right. It doesn't matter if I did. They asked for $2 million in ransom, which Insomniac refused to pay, so they sold the data that they stole from them. But they only ended up selling 2% of the data, and they released the rest of the information publicly. Now, there were over 1.3 million files stolen, and that information is now available to the public. Now, according to the Engadget article, there are internal HR documents, screenshots of employee Slack conversations, plus information and early footage from the Wolverine game Insomniac is currently working on. There are also things like details about the agreement that Sony made with Marvel, which shows 3 X-Men games that they agreed to make. The first one is the Wolverine game, which has to be released by September 1st, 2025, according to the document. The other 2 X-Men games are due out in 2029 and 2023. Now, I haven't looked at any of this footage that's out there because it's early game footage and I don't really think it's that interesting personally. The same thing with the GTA leak, I never looked at that footage either. I'd rather wait for the finished product to be presented in the way that it's intended to personally. The situation definitely sucks for Insomniac, and I'm sure that they don't want this stuff public. They have put out this statement since the data was stolen and went public to address the situation. Thank you for the outpouring compassion and unwavering support. It's deeply appreciated. We're both saddened and angered about our recent criminal cyber attack on our studio and the emotional toll it's taken on our dev team. We have focused inwardly for the last several days to support each other. We are aware that there is stolen data, which includes personal information belonging to our employees, former employees, and independent contractors. It also includes early development details about Marvel's Wolverine for the PlayStation 5. We will continue to work to determine what data was impacted. This experience has been extremely distressing for us. We want everyone to enjoy the games we developed as intended and as our players deserve. However, like Logan, Insomniac is resilient. Marvel's Wolverine continues as planned. The game is in early production and will no doubt greatly evolve throughout development, as do all of our plans. While we appreciate everyone's enthusiasm, we will share official information about Marvel's Wolverine when the time is right. On behalf of everyone here at Insomniac, thank you for your ongoing support during this challenging time. So yeah, it's all around a really bad situation because aside from the game being leaked, personal information was leaked related to employees. It's good that they didn't pay the ransom because they already took the data anyway. There's nothing that's really stopping them from still releasing it, even if Insomniac paid them. But I really hope there aren't too many people affected at the studio by their personal information getting out there. I'm sure the game will still be fine regardless of the leaks, as long as it's good and well received when it comes out. So hopefully Insomniac can bounce back from this incident and continue to make good games. But Insomniac's parent company, Sony, does more than just games. They also have a movie studio and they also sell digital content as well. So a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the Discovery content being removed from Sony's platforms due to them failing to reach an agreement with Warner Brothers Discovery. Now, this was going to affect a lot of shows and this would have removed content for people that actually purchased it. Well, Sony has reached a new agreement with Warner Brothers to allow users that purchase the content to still access it, at least for the next 30 months. They updated their original announcement page with this blurb. Due to updated licensing agreements, the Discovery content removal plan for December 31st, 2023 is no longer occurring. We appreciate your ongoing support and feedback. So based on the wording from this, it seems like they're not going to continue to sell the content on their store, but the people who already purchased it can access it for now at least. I'm glad that something has been worked out, at least for the next 2.5 years for the affected people. I mentioned this before, but this really could have hurt digital purchases for movies and even for games for Sony in the future, with people losing access to content that they already purchased. It can cause people to distrust the digital marketplaces. So it's good that they reached an agreement to allow their users to access the content that they already purchased. Either way, if you have some Discovery shows on PlayStation Store that you purchased, you can continue to enjoy them for the next 30 months at least. But by that time, you may be watching Discovery content on a PS5 Pro. In fact, let's go ahead and talk about that. And our final story. So we got some new PS5 rumors about a potential PS5 Pro, which, side note, it really feels too soon to be talking about a Pro, but I keep forgetting the PS5 has been out for over 3 years now. That pandemic timer really messed me up. So it's being reported that Sony is planning to release a PS5 Pro next September, with the big change for this console, according to the rumors, being that Sony is developing their own proprietary hardware and software for frame generation technology. So it would be something similar to Nvidia's latest version of DLSS, which, according to the Tom's Guide article, it could boost frame rates up to 50%. So it seems like if they do this Pro system, it's going to be using the tech to create frames instead of just being a raw power boost. I'm sure the chip will probably be faster too, but the performance gains from the frame generation along with the faster chip would seem like a huge difference if they could pull that off. Now, this article specifically mentions frame generation and not upscaling, like running at a lower resolution and upscaling the 4K, which I guess makes sense because the consoles already have the ability to do that. My only concern is how well will this tech work. I tried Nvidia's frame generation on my RTX 4080 when I first got it, and it was really weird in some games, like it would cut off text and make it look really weird in some situations. So if this is Sony's plan, then hopefully it works better on day one than Nvidia's frame generation did. I really haven't tried it in a while, so I'm not sure what the current state of it is, but the expectation with consoles is that most of the features are just going to work out of the box, and this would be more prevalent with the PS5 Pro because that would be the selling feature of that console if these rumors are true. Of course, these are rumors, so we don't really know if there is a PS5 Pro, but there was a rumor back in March from Insider Gaming that also points at a PS5 Pro late next year, and even the rumored at the time PS5 Slim with detachable disk drive coming later this year, which did end up being true, so there is a chance that this may be true, but I guess we'll find out in 2024. But I don't need a PS5 Pro to be a pro and transition into the end of the video. I can do that on my own. But let me know how you feel down below in the comments about a potential PS5 Pro next year. Do you think it's too soon for another PlayStation? Also, I'll be back tomorrow on Christmas Day because what's more fun to do on Christmas than to unbox something? So yes, I'll be back for another super cool unboxing, so stay tuned. And if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to tell a friend tell a coworker, like, share, and subscribe, and hit that bell notification to be notified when I drop a video or a live stream. And always do at least 2 things at the same time.